Hello everybody, wanted to provide an update on the Cymbidium orchids that I have been growing outside my house. It's been sitting here for years and I just let it bloom when they happen. And in January of this year, I was so happy to notice that this large plant here had 3 spikes. The very first one I noticed was this big one here. Back in late December, I noticed that it had the small growth out here that it started to spike. And then the second one here also began growing in January, and my bonus third spike, I was so happy when that happened. And to top that off, my smaller plant, which I haven't had spike in years and years, or actually I've never seen a spike since I repotted it into this pot. I think it was about 7, 8 years, maybe 9 years ago. It was a long time. But what I really want to talk about is what you see down here, which are the flower buds that had fallen off. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So I think after this growing season here, I will have to repot both of these because, as I mentioned, I haven't potted them in like 10 years, 8 to 10 years. And at the time that I did repot this big one, I had about 3 or 4 plants that I consolidated into this one big large container. And that probably explains why we see the difference in the length of these spikes. And once they bloom, I'll make another video to see what color the flowers are, because like I said, it's good from 3 different plants. And when I do repot this, I'll separate them out into their original plants. And I think I'll take out some of these back bulbs. Let's take a look. Yeah, I may separate them out and pot them separately because I have enough healthy bulbs here that I can let them grow on their own. But anyway, back to this. About a month ago, we had a freeze warning here. All the news stations were saying, you know, go protect your plants because the temperature was going to come down to the low 30s. So I brought these 2 plants inside the house for about 3 or 4 days so that once the freeze was over, I brought them back out. And everything was fine. I left them outside. And about 2 weeks ago, we got another freeze warning. I saw that temperatures were going to be down around the mid to low 30s overnight. So I decided to bring them back in again. But this time, because it was an extended freeze warning, it was in the low 30s, mid 30s, maybe high 40s overnight for about 2 weeks. And at the beginning of the second week, I noticed that these flowers here were starting to turn yellow. So I thought, oh wow, maybe the flowers are going to be the yellow variety. But unfortunately, a few days later, these started to drop off. So this spike is dead. I won't be getting flowers on this spike here. And I think the mistake here is that I changed the temperature on these plants drastically, I believe, because inside the house, we keep the house up at around 70 degrees, and it got used to that maybe on that first time, because as I was bringing it back out after that first time about 2 months ago, I noticed that these started to open up. These few buds here started to open up. They believing that it's summer season or it's springtime and it's time for them to open. But after I brought them back out, seems like they closed back up because of the weather, because it's still cold out here. Right now it's in the 50s. It's not that cold, but I guess for these plants, it can be cold. So mistake I made was changing the temperature on these guys. I think what I read was that these plants can survive temperatures down to the mid to low 30s, but I was afraid that because there were several days in which it was going to stay that way overnight, that I should bring them in. And looking over here, it looks like this guy here is turning yellow, and this was how the other plant looked, where it started to turn this color and the flowers started to fall off. So hopefully this doesn't suffer the same fate as my little guy here, and that I hope that it will open up soon. But hopefully the cold weather has gone away and that spring should come soon, because right now it's the middle of March. We're waiting for St. Patrick's Day to come, and in this area temperatures usually hover around I guess between 60 in the daytime down to high 40s or so. So hopefully that is the cause. So my rookie mistake killed off the flowers for this smaller orchid this year. Now I'm going to repot this, I guess when it becomes warmer, but maybe I'll cut off the big spike just so that the energy can be focused on growing more leaves or growing the rest of the plant. So anyway, that is it for today. I will post another update on this as soon as these flowers open up to show what this looks like. Thank you everybody for watching. Talk with you next time.